The Galactic Empire, a behemoth of power and control, stretched across 1,000 star systems and ruled with an iron fist. For centuries, they had subjugated countless civilizations under the banner of order and unity, silencing dissent with fleets of warships and squadrons of elite soldiers. Their conquest was methodical. Almost predictable scouts identified a planet's weaknesses, envoys offered terms of surrender, and when those terms were rejected, the Empire unleashed its military might to crush resistance. When Earth first appeared on their radar, it was an anomaly. The scouts were puzzled by humanity's technological unevenness. Earth's mastery of certain fields, genetics, renewable energy, and quantum mechanics was impressive, yet humans were woefully behind in interstellar travel. They had no formal galactic alliances and no visible military presence in space. Despite these shortcomings, humanity's expansion into nearby systems suggested a resourceful and ambitious species. To the Empire, Earth seemed ripe for conquest, a low-hanging fruit in their campaign of domination. The Emperor, Kale Terran, was a man of great ambition and little patience. His advisors presented the case for Earth's invasion during a meeting in the Imperial throne room aboard Primarch, the flagship of the Imperial fleet. Holographic maps displayed Earth's location, its mineral wealth, and the projected ease of subjugation. Primitive, one advisor declared. Their weapons are outdated, their ships can barely leave their solar system, and they lack any organized defense network. This will be simple. Kale leaned back on his throne, the golden light of the holograms reflecting off his ornate armor. Then why delay? Send them our terms. Within hours, a massive Imperial cruiser, Echelon, stationed near the Sol system, transmitted the Emperor's message to Earth. The communication was simple yet uncompromising. A towering hologram of Emperor Kale appeared in the heart of the United Nations General Assembly, silencing all delegates with its sheer scale. The Emperor's voice boomed, each word calculated to convey both superiority and inevitability. "People of Earth," he began, his tone dripping with disdain. "You stand at the crossroads of destiny. Your planet, insignificant though it may be, has caught the attention of the Galactic Empire. As benevolent rulers, we extend to you the same offer we have given to countless others: surrender and become part of a greater unity. Refuse, and your defiance will be met with swift annihilation." The message lingered in the air long after the hologram faded. The world's leaders, seated in the assembly, were visibly shaken. The idea of Earth being invaded by extraterrestrial forces had long been relegated to the realm of fiction, but this was no longer a hypothetical scenario. It was real, and the stakes were apocalyptic. News of the declaration spread like wildfire, reaching every corner of the globe. The media dubbed it the ultimatum, and experts debated endlessly about what humanity's response should be. Some argued for immediate surrender, reasoning that resistance against such a technologically advanced force was futile. Others called for defiance, citing humanity's history of overcoming impossible odds. Public sentiment wavered between fear and a strange sense of resolve. In a secret bunker deep beneath Geneva, Earth's leaders convened to discuss their options. The President of the United States, the Secretary General of the United Nations, and other key figures from the G7 nations sat around a circular table, their faces illuminated by the cold glow of monitors displaying live feeds of the Imperial fleet station near Jupiter. "They outmatch us in every conceivable way," said General Harris, a grizzled veteran of Earth's armed forces. "Their ships are larger, faster, and better armed. Even if we launched every nuclear weapon we have, it wouldn't be enough to dent their defenses. And yet, we cannot simply surrender," countered President Okafor of Nigeria. "If we yield without a fight, we lose not only our freedom but our dignity. Humanity has always found a way to adapt and survive. This must be no different." The debate raged for hours, but no clear strategy emerged. While Earth's military leaders acknowledged the futility of direct confrontation, surrender felt equally unthinkable. It was then that a voice from the back of the room cut through the noise. "What if we don't fight them on their terms?" All heads turned to Dr. Evelyn Zhang, a theoretical physicist and cultural historian who had been invited to provide insight into the Empire's psychology. She adjusted her glasses and stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "The Empire thrives on fear and compliance," she explained. Their power lies in their ability to intimidate civilizations into submission before a single shot is fired. But what happens if we deny them that fear? What if, instead of responding with weapons or diplomacy, we respond with absurdity? A murmur of confusion rippled through the room. Absurdity? Repeated General Harris, his tone skeptical. Yes, Zhang replied. Their culture is rigid, hierarchical, and humorless. They view themselves as the pinnacle of logic and order. If we respond in a way that defies their expectations, if we make them question the very foundation of their superiority, we might buy ourselves enough time to turn the situation in our favor. The idea seemed ludicrous at first, but as Zhang elaborated, the room began to warm to the concept. Instead of fear, humanity would project confidence unshakable, almost ridiculous confidence. They would use Earth's greatest weapon, creativity. The plan, though unconventional, was born from desperation and a refusal to surrender to inevitability. The Council voted unanimously to proceed with Zhang's proposal. Within hours, a global task force was assembled, comprising scientists, artists, engineers, and even comedians. Their mission to craft humanity's response to the Empire's declaration of war. When the Empire's fleet moved into Earth's orbit, they were greeted not by resistance, but by the first transmission in what would become a campaign of confusion. A holographic message beamed to the Imperial flagship showed a montage of Earth's deadliest warriors performing feats of strength, agility, and dance. The message concluded with a bold declaration: if you dare invade Earth, prepare to face our ultimate weapon, the Floss. The Empire, expecting terror and submission, instead found themselves confronted by something they had no framework to understand. In the following days, Earth's transmissions grew more bizarre. Videos of warrior cats, stories of mythical creatures like Godzilla, and satirical messages about Earth's invincibility flooded the Imperial fleet's communication channels. The soldiers, trained to see humanity as a primitive and weak species, were now unsure if Earth was a joke, a trap, or something far more dangerous. In the days following the Galactic Empire's declaration of war, the world braced for what seemed to be an inevitable invasion. The Empire's fleet, with its massive starships, loomed ominously near Jupiter, its presence a grim reminder of Earth's vulnerability. But while fear gripped much of humanity, a small group of people in a secretive underground facility in Geneva was working on a plan so audacious and unconventional that it bordered on madness. The Global Defense Council, composed of Earth's top military, scientific, and cultural minds, had reached a consensus: direct combat against the Empire was a losing battle. The technological gap was simply too vast. Humanity's nuclear weapons, once considered the pinnacle of military power, were nothing more than firecrackers compared to the Empire's weapons. A traditional resistance would only lead to humanity's annihilation. But Dr. Evelyn Zhang, the physicist and cultural historian who had proposed an alternative strategy, saw an opportunity in Earth's perceived weakness. They expect fear, she had argued during the Council's heated debates. Their strength lies in their ability to intimidate civilizations into submission. If we deny them that fear, if we disrupt their expectations, they won't know how to respond. Her idea was radical. Instead of meeting the Empire's aggression with military force, Earth would meet it with creativity and absurdity. Humanity would lean into the one thing that the Empire's rigid, authoritarian culture could not comprehend: humor. The goal was not to defeat the Empire in battle, but to confuse and destabilize them psychologically, buying humanity precious time to develop a more concrete defense. With the Council's blessing, Zhang was appointed head of what became known as the Disruption Task Force. It was an eclectic team composed of scientists, engineers, psychologists, artists, comedians, and even social media influencers. They were united by a singular mission to craft a response to the Empire's threat that was as unpredictable as it was ridiculous. The first challenge was to understand the Empire's mindset. Zhang and her team scoured every piece of intelligence humanity had on the Galactic Empire, piecing together a picture of their culture. The Empire was built on a foundation of logic, order, and hierarchy. Creativity, emotion, and individuality were seen as weaknesses. Humor, in particular, was a foreign concept to them, an inefficiency that served no practical purpose. It's their Achilles heel, Zhang explained during one of the task force's brainstorming sessions. Their inability to process humor makes them vulnerable to it. If we flood them with absurdity, we can disrupt their chain of command and sow doubt among their ranks. The team's first order of business was to craft a response to the Empire's ultimatum. They decided on a video transmission, a medium that would allow them to control the narrative. But instead of delivering a somber or defiant speech, they opted for something completely unexpected, a mock declaration of Earth's superiority. The video, titled Earth's Greatest Threats, featured a montage of humanity's most dangerous elements. It opened with footage of professional dancers performing elaborate routines, labeled as combat training. This was followed by clips of cats knocking over household items, which were described as Earth's stealth assassins. A segment showcasing toddlers throwing tantrums was presented as evidence of humanity's unpredictable psychological warfare. The video's piece de resistance was a sequence showing a group of humans performing the floss, a viral dance move that had swept through Earth's youth years earlier. The accompanying narration warned the Empire, "This is but a fraction of our power. Invade at your own peril." The task force knew the video would be seen as absurd by Earth's own population, but that was the point. They weren't trying to inspire fear or unity, they were trying to weaponize confusion. When the video was transmitted to the Empire's fleet, the reaction was immediate. Imperial officers, trained to expect groveling or defiance, were utterly baffled. Commander Vetra of the flagship echelon watched the transmission in silence, her expression unreadable. When the video ended, she turned to her communications officer and asked, "Is this a joke?" The officer, equally perplexed, could only shrug. "It doesn't seem to be a traditional response, Commander." "Run an analysis," Vetra ordered. "I want to know if there's a hidden message or a psychological component we're not seeing." As the Empire's analysts pored over the video, trying to decipher its meaning, Earth continued its campaign of absurdity. Over the next few days, the Disruption Task Force unleashed a barrage of similar transmissions. One video featured Earth's warriors engaging in competitive eating contests, framed as an example of humanity's endurance training. Another highlighted the destructive capabilities of Earth's wildlife, showing a goat headbutting a fence and a raccoon stealing food. The Empire's confusion quickly turned to frustration. Their culture, rooted in logic and efficiency, left them ill-equipped to interpret humanity's behavior. Was Earth mocking them? Was this some kind of psychological warfare? Or was humanity genuinely insane? Back on Earth, the campaign was met with mixed reactions. Some people embraced the absurdity, creating their own videos and memes to contribute to the effort. Others were outraged, viewing the campaign as a dangerous gamble that could provoke the Empire further. But the Disruption Task Force remained focused on their goal to keep the Empire off balance. The real breakthrough came when the Empire's soldiers began to crack under the psychological strain. Reports from the fleet indicated that some troops were becoming increasingly paranoid, interpreting every transmission as a potential threat. One soldier reportedly refused to leave his quarters after watching a video about Earth's ultimate weapon, caffeine. The video claimed that humans consumed the substance daily to maintain their superhuman energy levels. "Commander," one officer reported to Vetra, "morale among the troops is deteriorating. They don't know how to interpret these transmissions, and it's causing a lot of anxiety." Vetra's frustration boiled over. "We are the Galactic Empire," she snapped. "We do not fear primitive creatures from a backwater planet. Double our readiness drills. Let them send their ridiculous videos. It changes nothing." But deep down, Vetra knew that the campaign was working. The Empire's forces were becoming distracted, their focus shifting from the invasion to deciphering Earth's strange behavior. And while they struggled to make sense of humanity's absurdity, Earth was gaining the one thing it needed most time. In the shadows of the Disruption Task Force's antics, Earth scientists and engineers were working tirelessly on a more tangible defense. Zhang's team had bought humanity a reprieve, but they knew the clock was ticking. The Empire would not remain confused forever, and when they finally acted, humanity would need more than humor to survive. For now, though, the plan was working. Humanity's most unconventional weapon, a refusal to take the Empire seriously, was proving to be more effective than anyone had dared to hope. The Galactic Empire's fleet, an imposing armada of warships bristling with weaponry, remained stationed near Earth. Its commanders, accustomed to swift and unquestioned victories, were now embroiled in a bizarre and unprecedented standoff. The humans, those primitive, technologically inferior creatures, had refused to cower, surrender, or even respond in a manner that made any sense. Instead, they had unleashed a torrent of absurd transmissions, each one more perplexing than the last. On the bridge of the Imperial flagship Echelon, Commander Vetra stood with her arms crossed, staring at the latest human transmission playing on the holographic display. It depicted a group of humans in brightly colored costumes, engaged in what could only be described as a mock battle involving pillows. Labeled as Earth's elite warrior training program, the video concluded with the participants laughing and posing triumphantly. "What is this?" Vetra muttered more to herself than anyone else. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Orlin, hesitated before offering a response. "Commander, we've analyzed the transmission extensively. There are no hidden codes, no subliminal messages. It appears to be exactly what it looks like." "A joke?" Vetra snapped, her voice tinged with disbelief. "This entire planet is mocking the Empire?" Orlin nodded reluctantly. "It seems that way, Commander. Their culture appears to place great value on humor and creativity. Perhaps they are attempting to provoke us. Or they're trying to hide something," Vetra said, narrowing her eyes. "Increase surveillance on their communications. I want to know what they're really planning." Despite Vetra's suspicions, the truth was that humanity's plan was as straightforward as it appeared to overwhelm the Empire with absurdity. Each new transmission was designed to sow confusion and disrupt the Empire's rigid mindset. And it was working. On the ground, humanity had fully embraced the campaign. What had started as a carefully coordinated effort by the Disruption Task Force had spiraled into a global movement. People from all walks of life contributed to the cause, flooding the Empire's communication channels with videos, memes, and elaborate pranks. In one widely shared transmission, a group of humans staged a mock alien invasion, complete with tinfoil helmets and makeshift UFOs crafted from household appliances. The video, titled Resistance Simulation, claimed to showcase Earth's ability to repel extraterrestrial threats. Another viral clip featured a man dressed as a medieval knight, declaring himself Lord Protector of Earth and challenging the Emperor to single combat. The Empire's analysts, unaccustomed to dealing with such chaos, struggled to keep up. Their attempts to classify and interpret the transmissions yielded little insight. One report, submitted to Commander Vetra, described humanity as an enigma, possibly deranged but highly creative. Another suggested that the transmissions were a form of psychological warfare designed to destabilize the Empire's troops. The effect on the Empire's soldiers was profound. Trained to view their enemies as inferior and predictable, they were now faced with a foe that defied all expectations. The constant barrage of bizarre content left many soldiers questioning their own understanding of reality. In one instance, a young recruit aboard the Echelon became convinced that Earth's greatest weapon was a creature called the honey badger, based on a video showing the animal's aggressive behavior. He refused to leave his bunk for days, fearing that humans might deploy an army of these unstoppable beasts. Even the Empire's seasoned officers were not immune to the psychological strain. Captain Dren, a veteran of countless campaigns, found himself unable to concentrate during strategic briefings. His mind kept wandering back to a video of humans engaging in something called karaoke, which they had labeled as a war chant. The off-key singing and exaggerated performances haunted his thoughts. Back on Earth, the Disruption Task Force monitored the Empire's reactions closely. Dr. Evelyn Zhang, the mastermind behind the campaign, watched the reports with a mix of satisfaction and concern. The plan was working better than she had anticipated, but it was also becoming increasingly unpredictable. "Any sign of escalation?" she asked during a meeting with her team. "Not yet," replied one of her analysts. "The Empire seems paralyzed by indecision. They're clearly confused, but we can't rule out the possibility that they'll respond aggressively once they regroup." Zhang nodded. "We need to keep the pressure on. Let's double our output of transmissions. The more we disrupt their command structure, the more time we buy." The team got to work, brainstorming new ideas to keep the Empire off balance. One suggestion involved a fake documentary about Earth's unbeatable subterranean forces, complete with footage of mole-like creatures burrowing underground. Another proposed sending transmissions featuring human children solving advanced mathematical problems, framed as evidence of humanity's genius prodigies. Meanwhile, Earth's scientists and engineers worked tirelessly behind the scenes to develop a more tangible defense. Using the time bought by the Disruption Task Force, they focused on creating advanced weapons, shields, and countermeasures. Progress was slow but steady, and there was a growing sense of hope that humanity might actually stand a chance. As the days turned into weeks, the Empire's fleet remained in limbo. Commander Vetra, frustrated by the lack of progress, convened an emergency meeting with her senior officers. "This is unacceptable," she declared, pacing the bridge. "We are the Galactic Empire. We do not allow primitive species to mock us without consequence. We must act." But Commander Orlan interjected. "If we attack without understanding their strategy, we risk walking into a trap. What if their transmissions are a diversion? What if they have a hidden weapon we're not aware of?" Vetra stopped in her tracks, considering his words. The possibility of a hidden threat gnawed at her. Humanity's behavior was so unorthodox, so unlike anything the Empire had encountered before, that it was impossible to predict their capabilities. "What do you suggest?" she asked. "Perhaps we should attempt to infiltrate their communications," Orlan said. "If we can uncover the truth behind their transmissions, we'll know how to proceed." Vetra nodded. "Do it. And double our patrols. I want no surprises." Unbeknownst to the Empire, Earth's transmissions were not just a tool of psychological warfare, they had become a symbol of unity and resilience. For the first time in history, humanity was united in a common cause. The campaign of absurdity had brought people together in ways that no government or ideology ever could. Across the globe, people celebrated their collective defiance. Cities hosted public screenings of the latest transmissions, while artists and filmmakers competed to create the most ridiculous content. Even schools got involved, with children crafting their own videos to send to the Empire. The world's leaders, initially skeptical of the Disruption Task Force's strategy, now saw its value. They praised the campaign as a triumph of human ingenuity and spirit, but they also recognized the need to prepare for the inevitable moment when the Empire would stop watching and start acting. As the third chapter of this saga unfolded, humanity stood on the brink of an uncertain future. The Empire, bewildered and frustrated, was beginning to regroup, and while Earth's campaign of absurdity had bought time, it was clear that the real battle was still to come. The Galactic Empire's fleet remained ominously stationed near Earth, its warships casting shadows that spanned entire continents when visible from the planet's surface. Yet the Empire, an unstoppable force in every other conquest, was paralyzed. Its commanders, officers, and even the Emperor himself were bogged down in confusion, frustration, and indecision, unable to decipher the unrelenting stream of absurdity from Earth. Commander Vetra stood on the bridge of the echelon, staring at a new transmission. This one was particularly perplexing. A human dressed in a full banana costume danced erratically to a cacophonous tune, with subtitles that read, "Earth's secret code of war, decrypt at your own peril." Vetra clenched her fists, her patience long worn thin. "This is nonsense," she growled, turning to her second-in-command, Lieutenant Orlan. "What is the progress on the infiltration of their communications?" Orlan hesitated. "Commander, we've managed to intercept a large volume of data, but it's all inconsequential. Their communications appear to be as chaotic as their transmissions. There's no discernible pattern, no hidden codes. It's almost as if they're doing this deliberately." "Of course they are," Vetra snapped. "They're mocking us. And the longer we delay, the more we risk looking weak. Order the fleet to prepare for an assault. We will end this charade." But even as the Empire readied itself for war, doubt began to spread among the ranks. The constant barrage of Earth's absurd content had taken its toll. Some soldiers questioned whether humanity's apparent madness was a facade hiding something far more dangerous. Others whispered rumors of Earth's psychological weapons, convinced that the transmissions were designed to destabilize them. Morale was crumbling, and cracks were forming in the Empire's once unshakable discipline. Meanwhile, on Earth, the Disruption Task Force celebrated their success. The campaign of absurdity had exceeded all expectations, keeping the Empire at bay for weeks. But Dr. Evelyn Jiang, the mastermind behind the strategy, knew the reprieve would not last forever. Their patience is wearing thin, Zhang said during a meeting with the task force. They will act soon. We've bought time, but it's not infinite. Are we ready to defend ourselves if they attack? One of the team members asked. Zhang hesitated. The truth was, Earth's technological advancements were still no match for the Empire's overwhelming power. The scientific community had made progress on defensive systems, but they were untested and incomplete. If the Empire launched a full-scale invasion, humanity's chances of survival were slim. We have one more move, Zhang said finally. Something bold. Something that will force them to reconsider attacking us altogether. The team listened intently as Zhang outlined her plan. It was a gamble, but then again, the entire campaign had been a gamble from the start. If it failed, Earth would face the full wrath of the Empire. But if it succeeded, it could end the conflict without a single shot being fired. The next day, the Empire received a new transmission. Unlike the previous videos, this one was not chaotic or absurd. It featured a single human figure, a man in a formal suit, standing in front of a large, futuristic screen. He identified himself as Earth's supreme diplomatic envoy and addressed the Empire directly. People of the Galactic Empire, the envoy began, his tone calm and confident. We have observed your hesitation to engage with us. It is understandable. You are grappling with a simple truth: humanity is unlike any foe you have encountered before. Our creativity, unpredictability, and resilience make us formidable in ways that your conventional strategies cannot address. Behind the envoy, the screen lit up with images of Earth's achievements: towering skyscrapers, sprawling cities, intricate works of art, and breathtaking natural landscapes. We are a species that thrives on challenges, he continued. For every obstacle we face, we innovate. For every defeat, we rise stronger. If you choose to engage us in war, you will find yourselves ensnared in a conflict that will drain your resources, morale, and resolve. The transmission then shifted to a montage of Earth's campaign of absurdity. Clips of dancing, memes, and bizarre performances played in rapid succession, accompanied by triumphant music. You've already tasted our greatest weapon, the power of confusion. Imagine this magnified 1,000-fold. Our ingenuity knows no bounds. You may win the first battle, but you will lose the war. The envoy leaned forward, his expression serious. However, we do not seek conflict. We value peace, exploration, and mutual understanding. Withdraw your fleet, and we will welcome you as allies. Continue your aggression, and we will unleash the full extent of our capabilities. The choice is yours. The transmission ended, leaving the Empire stunned. For the first time, they were forced to confront the possibility that humanity was not the weak, primitive species they had assumed. The message was a calculated blend of truth, bluff, and psychological manipulation, designed to exploit the Empire's fear of the unknown. In the Imperial throne room aboard the Primarch, Emperor Kale Terran reviewed the transmission with his advisors. The room was tense, the weight of the decision pressing heavily on everyone present. This is unacceptable, one advisor said. They are mocking us, Your Excellency. We must respond with force. But what if they're not bluffing? Another countered. Their behavior is unprecedented. We have no framework to predict their actions. Engaging them could lead to unforeseen consequences. Kale remained silent, his piercing gaze fixed on the holographic display. The Emperor prided himself on his strategic acumen, and he could see the truth in both arguments. Humanity's response had been unlike anything he had encountered in his long reign. They were unpredictable, yes, but also undeniably resourceful. Was it worth risking the Empire's reputation and resources on a planet that might be more trouble than it was worth? Finally, Kale rose from his throne. Order the fleet to withdraw, he said, his voice cold and commanding. We will monitor Earth from a distance. Let them believe they have won. The advisors exchanged uneasy glances but nodded in agreement. The Emperor's decision was final. As the Empire's fleet retreated, humanity erupted in celebration. Across the globe, people cheered, danced, and shared their relief and joy. The Disruption Task Force, once viewed as a risky experiment, was hailed as a stroke of genius. Dr. Evelyn Zhang watched the celebrations from her office, a small smile on her face. She knew the victory was fragile, more a stalemate than a definitive triumph. The Empire could return, and humanity still had much to do to prepare for future threats. But for now, they had achieved the impossible. They had faced the most powerful force in the galaxy and emerged unscathed, using nothing but their creativity and spirit. The story of Earth's absurd resistance spread throughout the galaxy, becoming a legend. Other civilizations, inspired by humanity's defiance, began to question the Empire's dominance. And while the Empire remained a formidable power, it would never underestimate the peculiar and unpredictable species from the blue planet called Earth again.